What is up, guys? We are back with another Fevo video. Today's a wicked one because we're going to pick up the engine for the car. Currently it is one Tara power. G'day, Tara.
Hey.
How you doing? Yeah, run, Footstone. Borderline just leave you in the engine bay because you look so goddamn good.
Sideways.
What's up? We're heading to pick up the CA. Very excited. Dr. Drift has facilitated the sale, which is awesome. So we're heading over to his shop. Gonna pick it up. Gonna suss out a bunch of S13 stuff that he has because he has a bunch of front and rear subframe stuff. But most importantly, we're picking up the motor. And then we're gonna come back. We're gonna strip this engine bay of everything we don't need, hopefully. And I'm gonna sit the motor just in the bay to kind of get a feel for where it's gonna kind of wants to land. And we're not gonna rip this stuff out today, so we can't have the gearbox attached to the motor. But you know, we'll talk about that later. First things first, we jump in the car.
Yes, and Dr. Drift is going to talk to me about my car.
Yeah, yes, her RB25 R34 Coupe, which we need to do some spicy things too. So it's gonna be a fun day, but let's jump in the car, go for a trip, have some fun.
Road trip!
Road trip, let's go.
It's an hour's drive to the other side of Melbourne to pick up our new motor, and I was more excited than a priest in a primary school. After a quick pit stop at Sushi Train to refuel, we got back on the road and made it to Dr. Drift's shop, where we came across some pretty interesting cars.
I believe this thing has a CA18DET in it. That's on theme for this video. So we're gonna have to pop the bonnet. Can I do it? Is the bonnet poppable? Oh, it is. Look at that. CA18DET. How freaking good. Man, it's a tight engine bay.
Yeah, I was like, it's so small.
I know, but that's the thing, like, that's what's so good about these motors. It's like, it fits in the engine, in the little engine bay. So we've got a lot of room in ours, so we'll be able to fit in ours even better than this, which is crazy. There's this beautiful E30 here. Very much like the style of it, going along with the theme of weird engines. Has an SR20 in it. How good. Holy. This thing is super dope. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here is our motor that we're going to be putting into the Fevo. How good. 1.8 litres of Japanese goodness. Like any motor that's been sitting for a while, it looks janky. We've also been donated a fuel cell from Dr. Drift to the cause, so shout out Dr. Drift for that. And then we also, over here, we have our OS Gaiken single plate clutch, our gearbox. Freaking so keen for this. We're just sussing out to see if we have a tail shaft, the front half, so that we can use that obviously when we make our custom tail shaft as well.
Alright, enough chit chat, it's time to get this thing loaded up and back to the shop. I want to say a huge thanks to Dr. Drift for sourcing the motor and gearbox package for us, as these CA18s are getting really hard to find. Once we got back to the shop, we unloaded the motor, and now it's time for the real work to begin.
We've acquired our motor, got our gearbox, got our clutch, got our Fevo. So now you know things are about to get real serious. But before we get into that, I want to show you guys some upgrades we've done to the shop. So last video I kind of showed you guys we're in the progress of building our mezzanine floor. Well, look at this. Look how freaking tidy this place is looking. Well, it's not super tidy, but it's much tidier than it was. So me and Waz have been going nuts this week. We built this mezzanine floor. Look at it. Took us a little while. Shout out Waz for all the help because dang, it came up awesome. As you can see, it's made out of pallet racking. The stuff's like super strong, but we modified it in like to make it even stronger because obviously we don't ever want this falling down. But I'm just pumped on the progress. Look at this. Jump up the stairs. So this here used to just literally like have handrails here and be nothing. I don't know if you guys remember, but now we've got our floor. It's crazy. So good. It just means we have a bunch more space where we can store everything. So a lot of the stuff down there is now going to be up here. The shop has come such a long way since we first acquired it. Actually, I'll see if I can find a video right here to slip it in to show you guys, especially all the new subscribers, what it was like when we first came here. Look at that. Here it is. A big empty space. It's actually pretty rad though. So as you can see, we've done a bunch of work to the shop. I'm sure we're going to continue to keep doing work to it just to make it more efficient. But I'm figuring that this corner here, where we've got all of our shelves and stuff like that, well, it's not really super usable when it's not doing a lot. As you can see, you put a car here, it kind of hits the shelves, sticks out a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is remove these shelves here, and we're gonna put those up on the mezzanine floor. And then here is where the Fevo is likely going to live and where we're gonna be able to work on it. And then I'll put the 280 under the E36 on the hoist. It's just really gonna maximize the space that we have here because this thing's gonna be up on axle stands for the next little while. So obviously we're swapping out subframes and all that stuff. Honestly, this place, I'm just so happy with the progress of this place. It's starting to look so damn good. But now we're moving on to the Fevo. So obviously the first thing we wanna do is we want to put that motor in the frickin' bay and just kind of see where it's going to sit and kind of get an idea for how things are going to work. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's strip a bunch of stuff out of this engine bay.
I'm removing the front bumper and intercooler so we can cut out the front radiator support. We'll be making this removable using a bracket, as this will allow us to fit and remove the engine easily through the front of the car. Next up, we're removing the old front wheel drive engine mounts along with a few other pieces, and we're ready to test fit the new motor.
So I've literally been binging Jimmy Oakes' rear wheel drive Nissan, like rear wheel drive Civic series, because he did pretty much everything we're going to be doing to this car. And so a lot of it applies, which is great. So now I have a really good knowledge. So shout out Jimmy Oakes, you're a legend. This bay is actually going to come up super nice once we remove a bunch of these brackets. All the spot welds we can just drill out. All the brackets will come off. We should be able to clean it up really nicely, which is cool. But now it's time to test fit our C8. Obviously this is just a mild test fit right now because we've still got all of our steering stuff in the way and stuff like that. So once we get the Fevo into position here in the shop where it's actually going to sit for a while, then I can remove all that stuff. We don't actually have our S13 subframe either, so that'll be getting dropped off tomorrow along with our MX-5 rear subframe. And then in the next video we can go to town and start making our new frame rails and getting the subframe to fit somewhere nicely in the bay. But look how freaking wide these engine bays are. Like, that's the motor. That's like, the rails are so far apart, it's crazy. So there's a lot of room here, but let's go ahead and chuck the C8 in the bay. Let's go. After a little jiggling and fiddling and moving around, it's finally, well, it's sat in the engine bay. It's not in exactly the right spot, but you kind of get a little bit of an idea of what it's going to look like. Look at that. Looks so strange sitting that way in the engine bay after what we're used to looking at with the 4G93. Like, obviously it's not on the right angle, it's not at the right height, it's sitting too high. You know, it's slanted over that way a little bit, but you kind of get a little bit of a perspective. And for the most part, I just wanted to see what it would look like in the engine bay and how much space there is everywhere. So at the back here, as you can see, it's sitting way far forward. So that's only because it was touching down the bottom. We'll be able to, actually, you can probably push it back now a little bit. Yeah, the wood's kind of hitting down on the subframe down there. But we'll basically be having this thing sitting like way hard up against the firewall, like here. So as you can see, there's a huge amount for it to move backwards. Still a huge amount of space up front here for the radiator and stuff as well. So, whoo-wee. But it's always nice doing stuff like this and doing a test fit because it gives you a whole bunch of motivation. Just seeing what it will kind of look like once it's all done. It looks so freaking cool. And then you imagine the high mount turbo manifold with a turbo there, beautiful intercooler piping. Oh my God, it's gonna look so good. And that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. The CA is sitting in our Lancer, so technically, I guess you can't call it a CA18 DET Lancer yet because it's not mounted, but it's sitting there, and that's a pretty monumental moment. Next up, of course, we have to make the custom frame rails, mount the subframe, so that'll be in the next video. Obviously, some videos are gonna be more exciting than others, but hey, stick with me, watch each and every one. It really helps the channel. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And if you want to support the channel, jump onto twostepgarage.com, grab yourself some car parts, or jump onto droptheanchor.com.au and grab yourself some clothing. Both are my own businesses that I own and run here in the shop. The Drop the Anchor clothing, honestly, it's like the best quality clothing that you guys will wear. The t-shirts last years. I was a customer of the company before I bought the business. It's fantastic stuff. So yeah, if you want to support the channel, hit the links below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your support as always, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers. Peace. Bye.